Tennis paradise is among us, and there are a lot of questions that beg to be answered on the women's side at Indian Wells this year. The big three, Aryna, Iga, and Coco, had underwhelming Middle East swings in Doha and Dubai. Can they rebound and restore order? Or will another talented player rise and claim their maiden WTA 1000s like Anisimova and Andreeva did a few weeks ago? And can newly minted Slam champion Madison Keys continue her phenomenal start to her 2025 season and extend her 12-match win streak? We also have 2018 Indian Wells champion Naomi Osaka back in the house, who's going to be playing her first tournament since the Australian Open, where she tearfully retired due to an ongoing abdominal injury. Osaka is joined by fellow mother Petra Kvitova, who's playing her second event since giving birth to her son last year. I'll break down this loaded and tough draw and try my best to predict who I think will take home the trophy this time around. Hey, I'm Christian Bassnight, and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell so you are notified whenever I post more Indian Wells content like this. Before I get into the draw itself, I do want to highlight an interesting change with the court surface here at Indian Wells. The old plexi-paved courts have been replaced with lay coat courts, and that's the same surface used at the US Open and at the Miami Open. Lay coat courts play faster than plexi-pave, and the ball bounces lower, and that's definitely a key difference. Indian Wells notoriously play slower and the ball bounces are higher, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. Although it is a possibility that we might not see many noticeable changes with this new recent court surface. Now, delving into the draw itself, looking at the projected quarterfinals, we have Aryna Sabalenka, who could face Jasmine Paolini, Coco Gauff against Madison Keys, Elena Rybakina against Jessica Pegula, and finally Qinwen Zheng against Iga Swiatek. First, starting out looking at Aryna Sabalenka and her projected path to the title, she's projected to first meet McCartney Kessler, followed by Magdalena Frech, then Beatrice Haddad-Maia, Jasmine Paolini in the quarterfinals, Coco in the semis, and Iga in the finals. McCartney Kessler for Sabalenka in the second round, I think, could be tough. As McCartney, she's been playing very well this year. She picked up a title in Hobart, and she also defeated Coco in straight sets and Dubai, and she just made the Austin finals. I don't think that Magdalena Frech is a threat at all, really, and I think that Ekaterina Alexandrova in the round of 16 might be her biggest threat of up until the semifinals, as Ekaterina, of course, she beat Sabalenka in Doha. Sabalenka is definitely going to want to hope that Ekaterina does not make it that far. Sabalenka did not play that great in the Middle East. Notably, her serve just didn't have much on it, and she was getting eaten alive, especially by Clara Towson in their Dubai match. I will be intrigued to see if she made any noticeable improvements on that front. I do think that Sabalenka should weather the Kessler storm fine in that opening round match, and I do not think that Ekaterina will even make it to the round of 16, so I'm going to be having Big Lenka progress through to the quarterfinals. Next is Jasmine Paolini section, and it's by far the weakest section out of the 8. Jasmine, she suffered a right ankle injury in Dubai, and even aside from that, she has not been playing great this entire season. Daria Kasatkina, of course, is a solid player, but I don't think that she's a legit title contender here at Indian Wells. She'll probably face Sophia Kenin in the opening round, and Kenin plays Sloane Stephens, who is currently on a 10-match win streak. I do think that Kenin, she had a strong showing in Dubai. I believe she made the quarterfinals before falling to Elena Rybakina, if I'm not mistaken, so perhaps she could go on a little run there as well. Ludmila Samsonova is pretty unpredictable, and Leylah Fernandez is she's just not that girl, unfortunately. I could see Veronika Kudermetova, the unseeded Russian, coming through and possibly causing havoc in this section. 17-year-old American Eva Jovic is there as well, so that'll be interesting to see if she plays Paolini in that second round. Really, on paper, you say that Jasmine should come through this section, but I'm just not sure if she's 100% in terms of health-wise and just overall form. So I'm going to play it safe and have Daria Kasatkina, who's also a former finalist, come through to make the last 8. Third seed Coco Gauff definitely does not have an easy route to the title. She could open up against Emerald Kanu, followed by Maria Sakkari in the third round, Diana Schneider in the fourth, Madison Keys in the quarterfinals, Aryna Sabalenka in the semis, and Iga Swiatek in the finals. That possible Gauff-Raducanu second round caught a few people's attention for sure. Coco played Emma only one time, and that was back in 2023 in the Australian Open second round, which Gauff won by a score of 6-3, 7-6. Raducanu, though, she still needs to get by her round one opponent, Uchijima, who is actually ranked higher than Emma. Still, I think that Emma should win this match, as she's been playing at least solid top 30 level tennis this season. But can she beat Coco, though? Really, I don't know. Of course, Coco underperformed in the Middle East swing, losing her opening round matches, and she has not looked that great, really, since the United Cup. So this is going to be an important tournament for her to kind of want to try to turn things around. Emma aside, she could play Maria Sakkari in the third round, who has a 5-3 head-to-head advantage over the American. And Maria actually beat Coco here at Indian Wells in the semifinals last year. Now, Maria, she has not been playing that same level as she did back in 2024 here in Tennis Paradise, but you really never know what could happen. You also got to keep an eye out for Olga Danilovic there too. She made the Australian Open fourth round, beating Pegula en route there. The bottom half of this draw now is pretty spicy, as you have Doha champion Amanda Anisimova, who could play Abu Dhabi winner Belinda Bencic in the second round. That could be a very, very good match. Then down below, we have Jana Schneider, who will face the winner of Alicia Parks or Anna Kalinskaya. And Alicia actually defeated Schneider and Doha in the opening round there, so you never know what could happen. Anisimova might be Gauff's biggest threat in this section, to be honest, and I think Coco's going to want to hope for Bencic to beat her. But to be honest, even if Belinda does win and faces Coco in that fourth round, I think I might favor the Swiss woman in that hypothetical matchup. Yes, Coco just beat Belinda in the Australian Open fourth round, but Bencic struggled, I think, a bit physically in the end, and Coco was able to take advantage. But I feel like this time around, Bencic would be more adequately prepared for facing Gauff, especially if things go deep in this one. And I think I'd favor Belinda in this one. Now, there is definitely a chance that people are overreacting, including myself, with this draw, and it could break down in Coco's favor. And I wouldn't be surprised, really, if this was the case. Even if the draw didn't break down and Coco still beat all these players, as she is still the world #3 player and she's a Grand Slam champion. So still, on paper, she should be winning these matches, even though the head-to-head might not be in her favor from previous history. Coco also does fairly well at Indian Wells, but I just have the feeling that she will not make the quarterfinals here. I don't know. So I'm going to have Belinda Bencic actually move through here to make the Elite Eight. Next is Madison Keys' section, and of course, this is going to be Madison's first tournament as a Slam champion. Keys has an interesting draw, as she could open against Anastasia Potapova, who just missed out on being a seed, being ranked 34th in the world. Up top is another American, Emma Navarro, who's fresh off a 500 title in Merida, although she did not face a single top 40 player en route there, but she did not drop a set. Navarro-Vekic could be a third round match, although Vekic really never performs that well in 1,000 tournaments, so I favor Emma there to go through. And I think that we will get that Keys-Navarro fourth round. I feel like I'd favor Emma here because I feel like her variety would be that added edge for her. Plus, I think that she's a little bit more match fit at the moment. And I think that it might take a tournament or two for Keys to truly get her groove back. So yeah, I'm going to be having Navarro come through to make the quarterfinals for the second consecutive year. Looking down for the bottom half, we have Elena Rybakina section first. And I think that Elena has a somewhat decent draw, at least until the fourth round. She is projected to play Katie Bolter, who was kind of low on match reps recently, as she's just coming back from a foot injury. Now, down below is very, very interesting, as we were projected to get a Dubai finals rematch between Clara Tauson and Mira Andreeva. But two mamas could stop this from happening, as Naomi would play Clara if she wins her first round match against Camila Osorio. Then Petra Kvitova will be playing her second tournament as a mom. If she beats Varvara Krejcikova, she'll play Mira Andreeva. I'm going to be putting Rybakina through to play in the fourth round, but as far as who will play her there, I just think that it'll be a toss-up for real. I think that people will be sleeping on Naomi, but I could see her causing a bit of commotion here. She has not lost a completed match since working with Patrick Mouratoglou in the fall of 2024, and just the issue really has been her body not being able to hold up. But I think that it won't be too much of an issue for her here, just coming back from injury. I think that she'll be more fresh and physically fit, and it might be more of a bold pick, but I'm going to be having Osaka move through to the fourth round and play Elena Rybakina, and then I'm going to have Rybakina still progress through to make the quarterfinals. Fourth seed Jessica Pegula also has a pretty tough route to the title. She could open up against compatriot Peyton Stearns, followed by Yelena Ostapenko, then Danielle Collins, followed by Rybakina in the quarterfinals, Swiatek in the semis, and Sabalenka in the finals. Again, on paper, this draw is tricky, and opening against Peyton Stearns could be tough, although Peyton is very streaky at times, so you never know which Stearns you're going to get. Ostapenko, of course, she's Ostapenko, and she just made the Doha finals not too long ago. Collins, she's going to be playing her first tournament since the Australian Open, so interested to see what type of Danielle Collins we get from her. Svitolina has been playing good tennis this season too, and so has Ashton Kruger, who made the Abu Dhabi finals. Pegula's going to be high on confidence coming off a 250 title in Austin, so she's in good form right now, and I still think that she'd be the favorite. And there's the possibility too of her draw falling apart, and she might not even face her biggest threat, of course, Ostapenko in that third round, as Elena is unpredictable. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Pegula to make the quarterfinals. Next is Qinwen Zheng's section, and Qinwen is definitely going to be looking for her redemption here, as she has lost her last 3 matches. Per Reba has not been with her in her 3 tournaments thus far this season, as he recovered from a procedure, I believe. So definitely going to be good for her to have him back in the box at Indian Wells. And Qinwen has also been struggling a little bit, I believe, with an forearm injury, as she's been wearing a sleeve for all of her tournaments thus far in 2025. Qinwen now does not have the easiest draw. She could open up against Victoria Azarenka, albeit Azarenka, she could be washed. Don't know about that. Then I think Linda Noskova in the third round will be pretty tough, and I would favor definitely Linda in that match based off of recent form. Qinwen would likely face Marta Kostyuk in the 4th round if she even makes it that far, as Paula Badosa, she suffered with a back injury in Merida, and she also withdrew from the Eisenhower Cup exhibition. I honestly see a Noskova-Kostyuk 4th round with Linda making the quarterfinals. The Czech has been playing solid all season, and she has beaten 5 top 20 players in 2025 already, and I think that she will add to that total in the desert and route to the quarterfinals. But you still got to keep an eye out for Kostyuk, as she made the semifinals here last year, so she probably enjoys the conditions here too. And finally, the defending champion Iga Swiatek will likely start her title defense against Caroline Garcia, followed by maybe Ons Jabeur in the 3rd round, Caroline Muchova in the 4th round, Qinwen Zheng in the quarterfinals, Jessica Pegula in the semis, and Aryna Sabalenka in the finals. This is an interesting draw for Iga. Some might say it's pretty good since she would not have to face Ostapenko at least until the semifinals, but there are still a few potential challenges early in this draw. Caroline Garcia, she has not done much all year, but she could wake up for Iga if she does play her, and she tends to kind of push the poll a little bit, especially looking back at her last few meetings. Ons Jabeur really has not challenged Iga too much in recent meetings, so I don't know if the Tunisian will do much there in that potential 3rd round match, but Yulia Putintseva and Caroline Muchova could pose a little bit of a threat in that 4th round. Yulia beat Iga at Wimbledon last year, and while Carol has not been in the pole in over 5 years, she always seems to really push her to the brink. Muchova would be Swiatek's biggest threat here, I think, in this little section, but I believe Iga would still clear her and come through to make the quarterfinals. Looking at my predictions, I have Sabalenka and Navarro in the semifinals, followed by Rybakina and Noskova. Then I have a rematch of the 2023 final between Sabalenka and Rybakina, with, again, Rybakina taking home the big trophy. Now, addressing the big snubs here, first, I guess Paolini, she could very well come through and play better than what we've seen from her this year, and maybe that right ankle injury won't be as much of a factor, but I'm just not confident in her prospects. Then I think a big snub for sure is Coco, having her lose in the 4th round. Even aside from Coco, you have Amanda Anisimova, of course. I had her losing to Bencic. And then you never know what could happen with Princess Diana Schneider. You never know. Again, focusing back on Coco, I'm just not that confident that she'll come through. I think she'll have to rely on her draw breaking down a little bit, as, again, you have Anisimova, who I think she would enjoy that matchup, Amanda would, and then Princess Diana Schneider, she beat Gauff in Toronto, although Gauff was in the trenches during that time, so of course Coco could get her revenge, but right now I just don't see her for Coco and having a deep run in tennis paradise. And then Madison Keys, I think that's a notable snub. I had Navarro, of course, in her place, but wouldn't be surprised at all if Maddie came through there and made another deep run here. Clara Tauson, Naomi Osaka, and Mira Andreeva definitely all could very well come through there and make the quarterfinals instead of Elena Rybakina, but that one's just going to be so tough for me to pick. It's just hard, and I feel like I just played it safe picking the highest ranked player. I guess Andreeva would be the favorite technically based on form, but I think it would be kind of a little bit of a tough ask for her to replicate or maintain that form that we saw from her in Dubai. And not to mention, too, her draw is a little bit challenging here. But you never know. Mira could definitely do her big one again and go maybe all the way, go 2 for 2 here. You know, I could see maybe Elena Ostapenko or Elena Svitolina come through, maybe make the quarterfinals instead of Jessica Pegula. You never know. I'm not really that confident in Danielle doing too much, but she might shock me. Qinwen Zheng and Marta Kostyuk didn't have them there. I'm not really too mad at those snubs. The bigger snub for sure is Iga. I guess on paper, really, Swiatek should be the favorite to win this title, but she's not really a big favorite based on, you know, form from recent, you know, in the Middle East swing. Although she didn't play that bad in Doha, but her Dubai form, that match against Andreeva in the quarterfinals was a little bit worrying, not gonna lie. And again, she could very well turn things around here for Indian Wells, but I just have a gut feeling that will not happen. Now, I really was close to having Noskova be our third surprise WTA 1000 title winner, and I could see it for sure, but I just don't feel like being that risky for real. And there's a possibility that she loses in the second round. You just never know. I don't want to take that gamble. I'm not that bold. Now, I do not see Sabalenka being quite ready to take a big title right now with that serve of hers, but it's interesting because I believe her draw is still pretty good enough for her to make the finals. I'm really not very confident in that Rybakina pick at all, to be honest, because that potential fourth round will be brutal any way you slice it, and I could see her definitely packing her bags there. Elena also has a pretty interesting mental block for the semifinal. She has not made it past the semifinal stage since she won her last title in Stuttgart back in April 2024. So you never know there, but you also got to feel like she's got to overcome that mental block at some point. It's got to happen eventually. And I also think that she's been slowly building up to something with her results in the Middle East swing, and she's been getting there. So I feel like eventually she'll finally have that breakthrough, and I feel like why not here? She's already won the tournament before in 2023, so I assume she likes the conditions, and yeah, I'm just going to be going with her to take the title. That is all I have for my women's Indian Wells prediction video. Let me know your thoughts on my predictions and whether you agree with me having Rybakina take it. If not, which I'm sure that many of you all will disagree with this pick, I'm not mad at you for doing so. Who do you think will come through and win it instead? Right now, women's tennis is extremely difficult to predict, and I feel like I'll be much more accurate for my men's predictions video. So subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I upload that. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I'll see you all next time here on Christian's Court.